What's up, everybody? So here's why TikTok could be banned in the United States as early as January the 19th, 2025. So just 9 days away as of me making this video. The TikTok ban heads to the Supreme Court today. Here's what you need to know about the case. This is from cbsnews.com and is linked in the description below if you want to go have a view for yourself. The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments Friday morning on whether to overturn or delay a law that could lead a ban on TikTok in the United States in the coming days. The law is set to take effect on January the 19th, just 9 months after it swiftly passed Congress with bipartisan support and was signed into law by President Biden. It requires the popular app to cut ties with its China-based parent company ByteDance or lose access to app stores and web hosting services in the United States. The law also gives the president the ability to grant a 90-day delay in its implementation if a sale is in progress. So if TikTok does indeed get sold, which doesn't necessarily look like it's going to happen, ByteDance does not want to sell, but if it did, the reason why that 90-day thing is there is because it's going to go for a boatload of money, and sometimes sales like that take a little bit to go through. The case pits the First Amendment rights to free speech against what the federal government and lawmakers say are threats to national security posed by TikTok. The Supreme Court moved with extraordinary speed in considering the case, agreeing to take up the dispute just 2 days after lawyers for the platform sought its intervention on an emergency basis. The question before the court is whether the law targeting TikTok violates the First Amendment. Here's what to know about the case. The legal battle arose from a law passed by Congress as part of a foreign aid package back in April of 2024 called the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act. The measure makes it unlawful for third-party services providers like Google or Apple to distribute, maintain, or update an app controlled by a foreign adversary by providing certain services such as offering it in app stores. Under the law, any app operated by ByteDance, TikTok, or anything else they have is considered a foreign adversary-controlled application. The designation also covers apps operated by a covered company controlled by a foreign adversary, China, Russia, North Korea, or Iran. In a brief laying out its arguments to the Supreme Court, the United States government said the vast amount of information TikTok collects on its users could be wielded by the Chinese government for espionage or blackmail or disinformation during a crisis. It also says it could use the app to advance its geopolitical interests. In response to those grave national security threats, Congress did not impose any restriction on speech, much less one based on viewpoint or content. Instead, Congress restricted only foreign adversary control. TikTok may continue operating in the United States and presenting the same content from the same users in the same manner if its current owner sells the platform. Lawyers for TikTok have argued that shuttering the app in the United States will silence not only its speech, but also that of 170 million Americans who use TikTok on a regular basis. In its filing, lawyers for the platform called the potential shutdown unprecedented and said the government's justification is at war with the First Amendment. Additionally, TikTok argued that a sale from ByteDance is not possible. The parent company said in April that it will not sell the platform. And honestly, when it comes to that part of it, who blames them? They are probably making hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars off this platform. A group of 8 TikTok users also challenged the law on the First Amendment grounds and have argued that outlawing the platform will deprive them of access to a vital communication form through which they can earn a living and spread ideas. There's people that make their entire income based on social media apps, TikTok included. TikTok is one of the biggest ones. There are people whose lives have changed dramatically because of how popular they are on TikTok, and that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Legislation lawyers for the creators wrote in a filing with the court violates the First Amendment because it suppresses the speech of Americans, creators based primarily on an asserted government interest, policing the ideas Americans hear. That is to our national security's history, tradition, and irreconcilable with this court's precedents. But an appeals court disagreed with TikTok and the user's First Amendment claims. In December, a ruling by a 3-judge panel from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit was sympathetic to the government's argument that TikTok poses a national security threat. The appeals court later rejected TikTok's bid for a temporary pause on the ban while it sought the Supreme Court's review. Thomas Berry, an expert in constitutional law at the Cato Institute, said it would be unprecedented for the Supreme Court to uphold a law that restricts such a popular platform in the United States, but said its reasoning, if it sides with the government, is significant. If the court relies on notions of disinformation or content manipulation as a justification, that would be extremely harmful to the First Amendment doctrine because it would essentially give a green light to the government targeting a speech platform for the content it carries. Now, here's where things get interesting. Donald Trump opposes the TikTok ban. The Supreme Court is hearing the case in the final days of the Biden administration. President-elect Donald Trump, who in recent months has expressed support for TikTok, takes office a day after the law is set to go into effect. A lawyer for Trump filed a friend of the court brief asking the Supreme Court to pause the law's implementation, saying the incoming president opposes banning TikTok at this time and wants the ability to resolve the dispute through political means. President Trump takes no position on the merits of the dispute. Instead, he urges the court to stay the statute's effective date to allow his incoming administration to pursue a negotiated resolution that could prevent a nationwide shutdown of TikTok, thus preserving the First Amendment rights of tens of millions of Americans while also addressing the government's national security concerns. And this is how TikTok could avoid a ban. Still, TikTok has several pathways to avoid a ban outside of the Supreme Court. Trump could take action once he's in office and ask the Justice Department not to enforce the law or prosecute tech companies like Apple and Google who host TikTok in their app stores. Trump also has the authority to issue a 90-day delay of the law after January 19th, though he would have to certify to Congress that evidence of significant progress toward a sale has taken place. TikTok won't disappear from Americans' phones on January 19th if the law takes effect. However, users would not be able to update the app, and those who don't already have it would not be able to download it. So if you have it, it sounds like you're still going to be able to use it. It's just not going to be able to be downloaded past January the 19th if this does take into effect. I feel like there's going to be a crazy amount of downloads of TikTok over the next few days. But what do you think? What do you think of banning the app in the United States that roughly 170 million people use on a daily basis to get their news, their information, to scroll videos, look for Sophie Rain, whatever it is they do? What do you think? Let me know. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you again soon.